we emphasize two things, and that's something we're going to follow through with in all of our meetings and all of our activities. Number one on that list is communication. Communication is first and foremost that we communicate so that not only the board understands, but you, the community, understands. Because we will emphasize, and I say it again, we will emphasize that this is a community park, and we want to make sure that you are involved. The second thing that ranks very high is respect. Now, communication, we want to be able to talk to one another, not at one another. This is not a us versus them. This is all of us trying to get somewhere. Okay?
My name is Jeff Galt. I'm president of Maritime Park Development Partners, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees. Let me first introduce the members of our team who will be presenting today. Matt Klein, whom you've met previously with EDSA, the design firm. Martin DeNitto, who is with the architecture firm Populous. Dave Hemphill, who's with the engineering firm Baskerville Donovan. Mark White, who is with MPDP. I and my team have approached this project with one point of view, and that is that we work for you. Everything that we have done to date has been with the idea in mind that we will deliver for you the best possible community park that we can for the budget that you've got allocated. Every step of the way, including when we made recommendations for changes to the site plan, was with the purpose of creating a more vibrant, more commercially viable, more economically viable park.
You can see from the plan that the structure that we went through before is still the same. We're not changing any of those aspects. The plan and the structure of it is still the same. We've just started to add a little bit finer level of detail to some of these particular elements. This is the phase one implementation of the project. Again, it's those couple of elements that we were talking about. The entrance, the water gardens off of Spring Street, the stadium, the DeVillers Plaza and DeVillers Wharf, as well as South Park. South Park here is where you'll probably see the biggest design changes or movement, but really the functionality of the park we think has been improved greatly.
We talked briefly about the different configurations that the stadium can accommodate, with baseball up there in the top left, soccer to the right. That meets NCAA 1 division and FIFA soccer field requirements. We have a football field on the left, which is probably our longest dimension that we have to accommodate with the safety zones at the end zone areas. And then the ability to plan for a concert configuration there in your bottom right, which would put another 3,000 seats on the field and access way for 2 portable over-the-road truck stages that can roll onto the field for a concert presentation. And these are some of the initial massing studies of the stadium. So we've implied a few things about the architectural design. We're open to comment and ideas to develop this further. But this gives you a little better sense about where the buildings are. You can see that shade canopy at the top, and even see how the seating is wrapping around and angling back towards the field area. And I'll talk through these a little bit, and we can certainly go back to some if you have some questions. This is the street level corner that I think is right in front of the main entrance right here. So you'll come in some gates off the sidewalk and come up a level, and you'll be right onto the main concourse. You'll be able to see into the stadium, and there'll be a lot of activity to be seen from the stadium out and into that area.
Let's hear a few questions from the audience.
Is a park required to comply with current code requirements as far as elevation for new construction, or is because it is a park, is that waived in any time during it for new construction?
I just have a question about how we're going to incorporate, say, the mass transit system here in the city and the county. I see the parking might be an issue, and if we could incorporate some type of a hub and have the transit system involved in this, it could be a win-win for everybody.
We have got to move forward. It's been how many years? 10 years? Has it? I don't know. But anyway, we've got to come together like a football team.
An amphitheater with no access and no lights and no access
for Willie Nelson to get his big truck in there, there's not much way we're going to draw big-time acts in here unless we can get to that thing. And most particularly in Phase 1, which we've been talking about since the beginning of this thing, that the amphitheater should be in Phase 1 because we can get it into use and get the public to seeing something down there that's usable right on the front end.
When you build this amphitheater, it will be graded by the entertainment industry. You'll be an A market, or a B market, or a C market. That will determine what acts you get in here or not get in here. For a long time, we suffered through the municipal auditorium being a B market because of the sound system. And you cannot draw top talent in here. The reason they're drawing them at the Wharf is it's an A facility in Orange Beach. So all these things that Mr. Hunter's bringing up are very, very important. You can build it and they won't come.
But the question I have right now for you guys is what is the playing surface? What kind of grass? Is it artificial? Is it a mixture? Because it relates to the question about the outside wall, whether that can be removed after games for public access.
The playing field is a natural grass turf, and it has an under drainage system that will allow that to be as drainable as possible and meet higher standards for having other events as well on the field.
The one thing I did leave off both schedules is that I do have a shovel in my truck and I am ready to go whenever it's time.
We're going to spend every penny of that $38 million. Believe me, we've got ways we can spend it. So if it turns out at the end of the project or towards the end of the project it looks like there's dollars that are left, then you guys will be telling us, those granite park benches instead of wooden park benches, let's do that. Or the lighting on that Jim had mentioned regarding the great German lights down there on the waterfront. If you want to spend the money on that, then we can spend the money on that. That'll be a choice that the board will be giving us direction on.
That's what I want to emphasize, because people may have misconstrued what he just said. We aren't going to spend the money. That doesn't belong to us. It belongs to you. So we'll bring to you plenty of ideas about how to enhance the project with those dollars, but any unused contingency dollars belong to the CMPA, and you'll tell us what to do with them. What we're proposing is, as we have proposed previously, that MPDP will act as the general contractor. And if you look at the development agreement, Mark White specifically was identified as a key man in that project because of his extensive construction management experience and general contractor experience. But we're aware of issues raised by the public and by members of the CMPA, and we have chosen to augment our capabilities through a construction services contract with a major construction firm. We selected this firm because they really have unmatched financial capability. They have bonding capacity in excess of $800 million. This firm has very strong local ties to the Pensacola community. And extremely important to us, and I think ultimately to you and to the rest of the community, this is a firm that has an outstanding reputation of very high integrity and has the ability and demonstrated performance of being a very strong member of a team. And so I'm very pleased to say that the firm that we've selected to provide construction services to us is the firm Hoare Construction. And with them, we have been able to secure, as I mentioned at the outset, not a letter of intent, but a letter of commitment from the Chubb Insurance Group for a bond for this project of $50 million.
I would like to see, since it's contingent, I'd like to have us go ahead and have a vote so that there would be something that Mr. Gray could tell, his investors next Thursday at 10 a.m. because we won't meet until Friday. I hate to put him in the position of saying, well, there's still dithering.
Well, let me suggest something.
Well, Mr. Gray would like to have that as well, so I'm not taking my motion until.
Well, let me just say, the give and take that we're talking about now can take place after the contract is signed. That's the beauty of the design-build contract. If you insist on making changes between now and next Friday, then think about the repercussions.
we have to go back and recost everything. So if you change the number of lights, we got to change the budget. Goes direct. So we won't be able to have a contract until all of that's done.
Okay. Well,
So
here's where I'm headed, Mr. Gall. Let me share. First of all, I think we've made a great stride forward today. We have made headway. We've come together. We managed to do far more than I think anybody thought we would be able to accomplish today. If we can agree to get together next week, even just for an hour and a half meeting, and I think everybody would feel comfortable giving our team an opportunity to look at it. We can be that much farther. Yes, it puts Mr. Gray on the spot, but understand, this was a great stride forward today. You know, not only did the board get to see everything, but so did the community. And the community gave us the go-ahead to move forward. I think if we just allow our team, as well as the city, to sit down and look at it, when we come together next week, within that time period, prior to that, whatever language that needs to be addressed will be done, so that when we walk into the meeting, we'll all be set to go. And that keeps him on track, it keeps us on track, it gives a little bit of breathing room. And keep in mind, look where we've already come from. Is that okay?
Mr. Chairman, let me try a stab at this. If you could approve the baseline budget of $38 million and a budget of approximately $11 million worth of enhancements, reserving the fact that in the enhancements list is $250,000 for actual dredging and about $2.5 million for marina. Let's get the lights out of the question. In the enhancement budget, there's $350,000 for lighting upgrades. We're going to get better lights, okay? That's in there. So if we all agree to reserve moving money slated for dredging and breakwater to possibly another enhancement to another part of the park, be it the stadium or whatever, but approve the rest of it conceptually and more or less as presented, then that would all be, of course, finalized with contracts in hand and signed. If you could give me that motion so I can tell the working group we've got a deal moving forward, we're waiting on final contracts to be signed the next day, it would be a big help to me. It really would. And I don't think it would take away from what you're wanting to do to massage these numbers. Because whatever the individual items are, your budget's $38 million on the baseline, and it's about $11 million on the enhancements. And the big ticket items, other than the marina, you're pretty well in agreement on, from what I'm hearing. And that's where we are, as I see it.
All right, board.
I'd like to hear from Mr. White.
Very quickly, Mr. White.
Okay.
I'm serious.
What Mr. Graves is asking for on the $11 million is that there's a number he's asking for you to approve, and how the monies flow back and forth between projects is the exact same thing we're doing on the $38 million. As you said, we're at a 10% set. This is not a budget that's a line item budget. You guys, for the next 6 months, are going to move stuff back and forth and work to stay into the $38 million. So we can approve his $11 million just like we're approving the $38 million. We're not approving 7 lights and 9 workbenches. We haven't gotten anywhere near that far. We're approving a design-build concept for both the 38 and the 11. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Yes, right here.
I make a motion that we grant
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion on the
All right, I'm sorry.
So if you give me a friendly amendment, I will gladly accept it, I'm sure.
Well, to approve conceptually, subject to our team's review and approval of the 38 million base and the 11.4 additional.
I'll second that, as long as they all understand if there's a strong wind blowing against the marina.
I would say subject to some modifications on the answer. I accept your friendly amendment, with my friendly amendment to your
Accept.
Do you want me to repeat the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
No, I've got it. We just need Mr. Baker to okay it out with a second.
With that, I still second.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Any other? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Those against? All right. Mr. Gray, you